Right now, the bombshell energy story the corporate media is hiding from you. While they distract you with their usual propaganda, a revolution is happening in American energy that will shatter the global power structure. Energy Secretary Chris Wright is implementing President Trump's plan for total American energy dominance that will crush our adversaries, slash your energy bills, and free us from foreign dependence forever. What I'm about to show you will make you question everything you've been told about energy for the last decade. Just as America's energy revolution is transforming our nation's power grid, it's time to revolutionize your body's vital systems. While we're breaking free from foreign energy dependence, you can break free from blood pressure concerns. This breakthrough formula works like our nuclear technology. It's clean, efficient, and powerful. It's the same principle, taking control back from those who want to keep you dependent on their system. Ready to feel the difference? Visit boostwithgary.com and save up to 40% off. Take control of your health, just like America is taking control of its energy future. Now, let's hear directly from our new Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, about his vision for American energy. This testimony before Congress lays out exactly how the administration plans to unleash American energy potential. Watch.
Chairman Fleshman, Ranking Member Capter, and members of the committee, it is an honor to appear before you and this committee today to discuss the President's fiscal year 2026 budget request for the Department of Energy. I'm especially honored to be at my first hearing before you as U.S. Secretary of Energy. I want to commend this committee for its longstanding commitment to energy policy and its mission of the Department of Energy. Energy is the backbone of civilization. It is the essential catalyst of human progress, enabling everything that we do. From lights in our home, the process heat in our factories, and the innovation in our national laboratories. I've dedicated my life to increasing access to energy, and I'm thrilled to carry my work forward at the Department of Energy at this pivotal moment in our history. My priorities for the department are clear: to unleash a golden era of American energy dominance, strengthen our national security, and lead the world in innovation. A reliable and abundant energy supply is the foundation of a strong and prosperous nation. It drives our economy, safeguards our freedoms, and fuels breakthroughs that improve our lives. When America leads in energy, we lead in prosperity, security, and human flourishing. Achieving this vision means fully leveraging the resources that have powered our country for generations. The United States is blessed with the abundance of coal, oil, and natural gas, and the Trump administration is committed to using them to provide affordable, reliable, and secure energy for the American people. America has a historic opportunity to secure our energy systems, deliver leadership, scientific and technological innovation, maintain and strengthen our weapons stockpiles, and meet Cold War legacy waste commitments. The Department of Energy will advance these critical missions while cutting red tape, increasing efficiency, unleashing innovation, and ensuring we are better stewards of taxpayer dollars. The President's fiscal year 2026 budget will ensure taxpayer resources are allocated appropriately and cost-effectively. This budget will return DOE to its core mission of advancing energy innovation and global competitiveness through research and development.
Did you catch that? Secretary Wright isn't just talking about energy independence, he's talking about energy dominance. This represents a complete reversal from the previous administration's policies that limited American energy production and made us dependent on foreign sources. Secretary Wright isn't just making empty promises. The Trump administration is already taking decisive action to restore America's energy leadership, especially when it comes to LNG exports, which were stalled under the previous administration. Watch.
We will invest DOE's resources in sources and technologies that support affordable, reliable, and secure energy and provide a return on investment for the American taxpayers. Just last week, the Trump administration celebrated its 100th day in office, and the Department of Energy has been hard at work to deliver on these goals of unleashing energy expansion while improving operational efficiency. I'm proud to report that we have officially ended the previous administration's reckless pause on LNG export permits and returned DOE to regular order for reviewing and approving new permits. Since January, the department has approved applications for projects that will export more than 9.5 billion cubic feet of LNG per day, adding nearly as much incremental capacity as the world's leading LNG exporting countries. We're advancing President Trump's pledge to lower the cost of living and expand consumer choice for all Americans by right-sizing DOE's regulatory approach to home efficiency standards. This ensures that the American people can choose which appliances work best for their homes and budgets. While we actively work to strengthen America's role as the world's leader in oil and natural gas production and lower costs for all Americans, we are also taking steps to accelerate innovation in the commercial nuclear development. America must lead the commercialization of affordable and abundant nuclear energy. DOE is working to advance the rapid deployment and export of next-generation nuclear technology, including small modular reactors. Small modular reactors will provide reliable power for our nation's growing energy demands, with the added benefits of flexible deployment due to their compact size and modular design. The responsible stewardship and modernization of the nation's nuclear weapons system is paramount for the Department of Energy and this administration.
That's right. In just the first few months of the administration, the Department of Energy has approved LNG export capacity that rivals entire countries. But even more important is ending the regulatory overreach into your homes and appliances. The previous administration wanted to tell you what kind of stove, refrigerator, or washing machine you could have. This administration understands that those decisions belong to you, not bureaucrats in Washington. And what most Americans don't realize is just how transformative our energy revolution has been. Just a decade ago, energy experts predicted America would need to import natural gas. Now we're the world's leading exporter. Now here's some insight into what happened. Watch.
So we just took a great tour here. Why were you here today, and what are we checking out?
Well, I think President Trump, one of his core goals, if we talk about energy dominance, which is beyond energy independence, it's not just a slogan. It's really about how do we have the power to power AI in America? How do we power remanufacturing in America? And then how do we sell energy to our friends and allies so that they don't have to buy it from our adversaries? And what you and I had a chance to see today is the largest LNG export facility in America, the second largest in the world.
Yeah, I was struck. I didn't really realize how quickly this facility grew up just about a dozen years ago. There was nothing really going on here. And now it's the second largest export facility of methane in the world. And methane is seeing a massive surge in the world because it has a lower carbon footprint. There's demand, it's transportable. So there's a lot of reasons why there's a massive growing market for liquefied natural gas or methane.
Absolutely. Yeah. And part of the amazing energy transformation that I think is not fully appreciated by most Americans is when this plant began in the early 2000s, it was meant to be an LNG import facility. America was running out of oil and gas, and they said, wait, we got to be ready to start importing it just to meet our needs. Well, along comes the shale gas revolution, again, driven by technology, that technology of horizontal drilling, that ability to, fractionate rock and get oil and gas out of places that people thought was just impossible that we would ever be retrieving those resources from those hard rock shale locations. And so then this thing, after the financial crisis, turned around and began its life as an export facility. And now, as you say, the only one larger in the world is in the Middle East.
This is American ingenuity at its finest. The experts were completely wrong. American companies developed breakthrough technology that unlocked vast energy resources the experts said were impossible to reach. Now, we're not just energy independent, we're in a position to supply our allies so they don't have to rely on hostile regimes. While we're expanding traditional energy sources, the administration is also taking a hard look at offshore wind projects that were rushed through under previous administration. The Department of Energy is examining whether these projects make economic and environmental sense. Watch.
Well, we've put both through the president's executive order and us following it up at the departmental level. We're reviewing all of the offshore permitting that occurred under the Biden administration. I think one of the things that people need to understand is the cost of offshore wind is triple what it is for onshore. Those and they're all built by foreign companies. There's no American company. This isn't about American companies or American jobs. And what people don't realize is billions of tons of rock are poured into the ocean before they can even begin the years of pile driving. And the pile driving have got a sonar, creates sonar experience for the fish and for the whales that could be highly detrimental. I mean, we've uncovered a report that it was never released to the public where they fast-tracked the Empire Wind project off of New Jersey, and the biological report, even from the biologist, showed that this thing lacked total rigor. And so there's, in an effort to chase an ideology, they were approving stuff that was, bad for the fish, bad for the whales, and expensive for the customers. And I mean, in terms of raising the cost of electricity, and also we saw what happened in Spain this last week. If you try to build a grid that's based on solar and wind, 100%, they were celebrating shutting down their last coal mine in Spain on April 12th. They were celebrating the next week that they'd achieved 100% renewable, which means intermittent energy. And then the next week, 60 million people were out of power and people were stranded in subways, and they were struggling to keep their hospitals open. The grid is the mother of all networks, and we've got to take care of our grid because it powers all the other computer networks, the air traffic control system, the transportation networks. We've got to have a grid that's reliable, and one way to do that is to make sure that we've got baseload power that's affordable and runs 24 hours a day.
This is the hypocrisy of the green energy agenda fully exposed. Offshore wind is being pushed by foreign companies, costs 3 times as much as onshore alternatives. It could potentially harm marine life. Yet the previous administration buried reports about environmental impacts to fast-track the projects. That's not environmental protection, that's environmental virtue signaling at the expense of American consumers and marine ecosystems. The administration is also addressing the critical minerals crisis that threatens our national security. We've become dependent on China for minerals essential to everything from electric vehicles to military equipment. Watch.
It's just amazing. One of the Resolution Copper, we're just in the process now of issuing them a permit. It's taken about 3 months here in the Trump administration. They started this process over 29 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, this has gone 3-decade-long saga to up a copper mine. And guess what? We need copper more than we've ever needed before. I mean, it's part of, every electric motor. It's a part of all of the advanced stuff that we're building. And so, I mean, it's thrilling that we're going to open a copper mine in America. And then some of the mines that have barely hung on, but are still going, whether it's gold or silver or others, uranium in some cases, along with that mining process, there are critical minerals that are adjacent. I mean, we can add a critical minerals refining. It's not just that we aren't mining those raw materials. China has got the corner on the refining, not just mine to refine. So when they're in the Congo in Africa, pulling out those research-rich minerals, they're bringing those back to China. We've got examples of companies in America that were mining in America, but there was no process. They were sending it to China, and China was doing the refining. Well, now we're literally in a war around these critical minerals, which we need for defense, and we don't have a stockpile. So part of what we're concerned with right now, and said, how do we get capital flowing back to mining? How do we start building stockpiles in America the way we have the Strategic Petroleum Reserve across the top 20 most important critical minerals? And then how do we de-risk it, if someone's going to get into mining? And do we need like a sovereign risk insurance, but not because you're working overseas, because you're working here, because the next administration may use an EO to wipe out your mine. And so again, giving the capital providers the confidence that if somehow they're regulated out of business, they'll get compensated through an insurance program.
29 years to approve a copper mine. That's the regulatory nightmare that's been suffocating American industry. Meanwhile, China has been cornering the market on these essential minerals. The Trump administration is cutting through the red tape to ensure we have domestic sources of these strategic minerals rather than being at the mercy of the Chinese Communist Party. What's often missing from the energy debate is understanding the fundamental relationship between energy production and human prosperity. So here's some perspective on why energy abundance matters. Watch.
And one statistic I always quote is that if you go back 500 plus years, you can see, and there's all these studies that have tried to understand energy production versus GDP, which translates to prosperity per capita. And there's a linear relationship. The more energy that's produced, the higher the GDP per capita. And that's what we see around the world in developing markets today. So I guess maybe you could just take a moment to talk to those folks, share a little bit about your perspective of the relationship between taking care of the environment and the planet and the importance of energy demand and energy security before we get into the things that are going on.
Well, I think you're spot on. I mean, human flourishing depends on everyone, and I think if you're talking about access for everyone, you just take a look. I mean, we could have as many as 800 million people on the planet, shy of a billion, that don't have access to electricity. And they need more energy. Now with AI coming, the demand for power is going to go up, the demand for advanced manufacturing. So we're not in any kind of energy transition. We're in an area where we need energy addition. And if we want human flourishing, if we want to reach our planet's fullest potential, and if we want to take care of our environment, which we can do all these things at the same time, even that requires energy. I mean, if you're worried about water sources, well, desalination, what we can do requires a lot of energy. Transportation of goods requires energy. So whether it's the clothes on your back, the food on your table, the transportation drive, there's an energy component to all of that. And electrifying stuff doesn't change; it just changes the source of the. We still need to create the electricity. So I feel like that if anybody is concerned about the environment, they should want to have it. Every ounce of a liquid fuel and every electron produced in the United States, because if you compare us to any other country, we produce it cleaner, safer, smarter, and healthier than anyone else. And I learned in North Dakota over those 8 years as governor, where we were always on the top of the list of cleanest water, cleanest air, best soil health, all of these things that we were able to achieve. And we were going up the charts in terms of energy production.
There is a direct connection between energy and prosperity that the climate alarmists never want to talk about. For 500 years, the data shows a direct relationship between energy production and well-being. If you want people to thrive, they need affordable, reliable energy. And with AI and manufacturing returning to America, our energy needs will only increase. This is not about energy transition, it's about energy addition. Secretary Burgum brings unique experience to the Department of Energy. Now, his background as a governor dealing with both the Trump and Biden administrations gives him firsthand knowledge of how federal policies actually affect energy-producing states. Watch.
There was an open seat for governor, and I threw my hat in the ring, and we were down 69-10 in the polls in January. The primary was in June. Catherine who became the first lady, was like, "Oh, we've got a great life. Why would we get into politics? Why would we get into that?" And I assured her that we had no chance of winning. She didn't have to ever worry about being first lady. But this would be fun for 6 months to create some competition. But we ended up winning that primary, and then it was a good year for outsiders. So we took office in North Dakota, you start middle of December. So about 36 days ahead of President Trump, we were sworn in. Had 4 amazing years working with President Trump as a governor. There was a win behind our back. And then second term, we got reelected by the largest margin in the country of any race. But then I was serving as a governor under the Biden administration, and where we're rapidly becoming a very resource-rich state. We had climbed to being the number 2 oil producer in the country. We had, tremendous coal resources, incredible agriculture resources, and in ranching. And the Biden administration really was having a war on whether it was timber, grazing, oil and gas, coal, critical minerals. I mean, anything that had to do with extraction, there was a regulatory battle going on. And I would have to say that a part of me not just became frustrated, I became very concerned about the future of the country. And that led to, jumping at the national level and saying, hey, we've got to have a policy because if we don't have energy security, we're not going to have national security. And that's
Now, Governor Burgum experienced firsthand the night and day difference between the Trump and Biden energy policies. Under Trump, North Dakota became the nation's second largest oil producer. When Biden took office, the war on American energy began. So who better to help lead DOE than someone who's seen how these policies affect real communities and real jobs? Nuclear energy is also getting a major boost under this administration. Secretary Wright is prioritizing this clean, reliable energy source as essential for our future needs. Watch.
DOE is focused on addressing critical upgrades for the U.S. nuclear stockpile and maintaining our engine powerhouses for submarines and aircraft carriers. Both tasks will become even more crucial in the next few years. We also need to unleash American energy innovation, and the national labs are the engine that drives research and development to further this aim. When it comes to our national labs, we are capable of doing more with less. We can both increase efficiency and drive innovation. We will prioritize research that supports true technological breakthroughs, such as nuclear fusion, high-performance computing, quantum computing, and AI, which will maintain America's global competitiveness. AI is the Manhattan Project of our time. AI will define the future of the world, and it is essential that the U.S. leads in the development of this technology. DOE has a significant role to play in driving AI innovation for scientific discovery, energy innovation, and national security. Our agency has the world-class high-performance computing capabilities that enable fast and efficient AI research and development, including 4 of the world's top 10 supercomputers. We need all energy sources to power the global AI race and meet growing energy demand, while also ensuring the security of the grid. America doesn't back down from big challenges or big builds. If we want abundant, affordable, and secure energy, we must invest in the transmission, generation, and innovation that get us there. We are working to accelerate projects through permitting reform. We need to break ground faster with streamlined permitting, standardized designs, and public-private partnerships to build at the speed of national need. DOE will work to replenish the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The SPR is a national asset that protects our security in times of crisis. The last administration's politically motivated depletion of 180 million barrels has significantly degraded SPR infrastructure, brought storage levels to historic lows, weakened America's ability to respond to new geopolitical oil market shocks. As Secretary of Energy, I am honored by the responsibility to help meet the American people's growing energy needs and lead the world in energy development. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before this committee.
Secretary Wright understands that the AI revolution will require massive amounts of energy. Nuclear power provides clean, reliable baseload power 24/7, regardless of weather conditions. While the previous administration focused on intermittent sources like wind and solar, this administration recognizes that we need all energy sources, especially those that can power our technological future reliably and affordably. One of the most exciting developments in nuclear energy is the emergence of small modular reactors. These next-generation nuclear plants are safer, more efficient, and can be deployed much faster than traditional nuclear plants. Take a look.
The business reason for this was to deploy the small modular reactors that we are designing and going to build. So we have units that we designed at 320 megawatts. If you do a nuclear siting, it takes about 3 years of environmental studies before you can even break ground. Because there is an existing nuclear plant here, we already have all of that data. So we can skip, in effect, 2 to 2.5 years of licensing process and go straight to build. Still got to get financing. There's still expensive plants to build. But generally, that makes it where the real effort now is the manufacturing and the construction. I'll show you a little picture of what the plant will look like. So this will be a 640 megawatt operation, 2 reactors. It will sit on 25 acres. And I talked to some of my buddies in other power generation. An average coal plant of a similar size takes about 4,000 to 7,000 acres. So we're talking about 25. A bunch of safety features that go into these plants. And people ask me, what's the difference between a small modular reactor and a big reactor other than the power output? Generally, they're simpler. And I would tell you the AP1000, which I was heavily involved in being built in Vogtle, has about 105 safety systems that do all the things my colleague was talking about. This plant has 7 and requires no operator action to shut it down and keep it safe. So it's walk-away safe, we call it. The other thing that we're designing is because it's entirely passive, one reactor operator can operate 2 reactors simultaneously because it'll just shut itself down if something goes wrong. The result of that is you can operate these 2 plants for 640 megawatts roughly with about half the staff of a current nuclear plant of the same size, which is big.
So think about that. A nuclear plant producing the same amount of power as a coal plant, but on just 25 acres instead of thousands. These small modular reactors represent the future of clean, efficient energy production. They can be built faster, operate more safely, and take up far less land than conventional power plants. So we're not just talking about theoretical concepts. The race to develop next-generation nuclear technology is already underway, and the administration is working to ensure America leads rather than follows. Watch.
Maybe you can hear the echo voice in this chamber 2.5 stories under the ground. This is where the latest technology in nuclear electricity generation is about to take place. We are on the campus of Abilene Christian University in Texas, and you've heard a lot maybe about small modular nuclear reactors. Well, here's the man who's putting his money where some people's mouths are. You are a guy, Doug Robinson, who has a career in oil and gas, but you now think nuclear is the future.
Absolutely. We need sustainable, dispatchable power that is safe, clean, efficient, and as I said, dispatchable to where you need it. Advanced nuclear brings us that.
We talk about nuclear. When I was a kid, people protested against nuclear power because they were afraid of the nuclear waste and nuclear disaster. Right. You say it's safer than any of those big plants in the past.
It's a Generation 4 technology. It's molten salt cooled, so we don't use water as a coolant. What that means is we operate at high temperatures but very low pressures. And so it's called walk-away safe. And we're liquid fueled, which means we do not generate unspent nuclear fuel. We burn all of the nuclear fuel in our reactors.
So there's none of that waste that we had before.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, we can actually utilize existing nuclear waste as fuel for these reactors.
I leave you now with some pictures of the build out of this facility. Doug, you are only one of 2 companies that has a permit from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to actually build one of these small reactors, correct?
That's right. We got our permit in September of last year, our construction permit, and we're standing in the only advanced reactor facility in the nation.
And this has come together fairly quickly, but you say we need to do that because we're behind Russia and China in terms of development of small nuclear.
That's right. The DOE asked us to build this reactor in 2019 to beat China and Russia, and the U.S. is falling further behind.
Voracious appetite in the U.S. now for electric power, AI, data centers, cryptocurrency mining. You got to have all of the above, and that seems to be the current administration's plan, all of the above when it comes to energy. I'm Jeff Flock with the Fox Business Network in Abilene, Texas.
This is revolutionary technology that solves 2 biggest concerns that people have had about nuclear power: safety and waste. These next-generation reactors are walk-away safe, meaning shut down automatically if anything goes wrong. And they can actually use existing nuclear waste as fuel. While America is finally moving forward, we're playing catch-up to China and Russia, who've been aggressively developing this technology while our previous administration was fixated on unreliable wind and solar. But there's another energy technology that could be even more revolutionary. Watch.
If the whispers in the automotive industry are to be believed, EVs could soon be facing an existential challenge. Toyota, a brand synonymous with sustainability, is reportedly on the verge of unveiling an engine that could revolutionize the entire automobile industry. Forget about electric batteries and hydrogen fuel cells. Toyota is introducing a water-powered engine that promises unparalleled eco-friendliness. This might sound like something out of a science fiction novel, but Toyota is no stranger to pushing the boundaries of technology. The company already has a strong foothold in eco-friendly automotive technology with its hydrogen-powered vehicles like the Toyota Mirai and its new 1.6-litre hydrogen 3-cylinder engines. But this new engine? It's shaping up to be something entirely different. The concept of a water-powered engine is not new, but it has often been relegated to the realms of aspirational projects, academic exercises, or low-budget garage experiments. Until now, no major automaker has succeeded in producing a water-powered engine that's practical, reliable, and ready for mass consumption. Toyota, backed by significant R&D budgets and world-class engineering talent, is well positioned to turn this seemingly fantastical idea into an everyday reality. So, how does Toyota's water-powered engine work? It transcends existing fuel technologies by performing electrolysis in real time to create a self-sustaining cycle. Unlike traditional hydrogen vehicles that require cumbersome high-pressure storage tanks, this engine employs a water tank equipped with electrodes. When these electrodes receive high voltages, they immediately separate water into its basic elements like hydrogen and oxygen. This on-the-fly electrolysis eliminates the necessity for external hydrogen storage, resulting in a more compact and lightweight design. After the hydrogen is isolated, it is directed in a combustion chamber where it ignites similarly to compressed natural gas. The whole setup is a self-contained marvel of engineering efficiency, obviating the need for intricate refueling stations or external storage systems. The eco-conscious implications of this technology could be transformative.
Remember when Stanley Meyer presented his water-powered engine to the world? Yeah, look what they did to him. And now Toyota, one of the world's largest automakers, is developing a water-powered engine. Not someday in the distant future, but right now. This is not a garage inventor. This is a trillion-dollar company with the resources to bring this technology to every American driveway. But ask yourself, why is the mainstream media completely silent about this groundbreaking technology? Who stands to lose if cars no longer need gasoline or expensive batteries? And what would this technology mean for you and your family? Well, to this.
While water engines may sound like a futuristic concept, they are poised to be eminently practical for everyday use. Contrary to some perceptions, these engines are not lacking in power. They can match the performance of conventional gasoline engines and potentially even surpass them. Water engines have the capability to generate up to 3 times more energy in megajoules compared to their gasoline counterparts. Safety is another strong suit. The absence of continuously stored, highly combustible fuels significantly reduces risks of fire or explosions. With their straightforward mechanical designs, water-powered engines offer an economical and scalable alternative to traditional gasoline engines. Their simplicity makes them more cost-effective to produce than either electric vehicles or fuel cell electric vehicles. This could make them an ideal solution for developing countries with limited oil resources. For example, Iranian scientist Aladdin Qasemi successfully converted his Peugeot 405 to run on water, showcasing the feasibility and potential of such technology even without extensive resources. Water-powered engines are also impressively fuel efficient. Qasemi's converted 405 achieved between 30 and 40 miles per gallon of water, significantly better than the base gasoline engine of the same model. This suggests that with proper engineering, water-powered cars could deliver outstanding fuel economy, making them even more cost-effective to operate. Though still in their infancy, water-powered engines appear to have a promising future. However, their road to mainstream adoption is not without challenges. Safety concerns, for instance, have been a hurdle for similar hydrogen-powered vehicles. Yet, the armored designs of hydrogen combustion engines indicate safe water-powered cars are attainable. The inherently stable form of hydrogen storage in water further mitigates risks. Reliability is another strong point. The engine's simplicity makes them less prone to breakdowns compared to EVs. Should an issue with the electrolysis process occur, one could potentially carry a backup tank of hydrogen, although this is not a feature of Toyota's current design. Moreover, maintenance costs are expected to be low due to the engine's uncomplicated design, consisting of fewer mechanical components and electronics that could fail.
So these water-powered engines are not just cleaner, they're potentially 3 times more powerful than gasoline engines. They're safer because there's no combustible fuel. They're simpler and cheaper to produce than both traditional engines and electric vehicles, and they could free developing nations from dependency on foreign oil. This is world-changing technology that would benefit everyone, except, of course, the global elites who control the current energy system. Well, the practical benefits of this technology would be immediate and revolutionary. Watch.
It emits near-zero emissions, making it a formidable rival to even the most advanced electric vehicles. Moreover, it sidesteps the environmental repercussions associated with extracting rare earth metals for batteries and the oil consumption linked to traditional engines. This is sustainable mobility, reimagined. Beyond its ecological virtues, the engine is remarkably user-friendly. A vehicle with this engine can be refueled with distilled water, a resource that is both abundant and accessible. This is in stark contrast to the logistical complexities of charging EVs or refueling hydrogen vehicles, areas where infrastructure is still evolving. The environmental ramifications of this new engine are profoundly promising. It produces nearly zero emissions, rivaling EVs but offering greater convenience. With easy refueling from almost any source of diluted water, this engine sidesteps the logistical challenges plaguing both EVs and other hydrogen-based vehicles. Moreover, the engine minimizes the environmental degradation associated with oil extraction and the mining of rare earth metals, a particularly pollutant-heavy process that jeopardizes local water sources and soil quality. When compared to hydrogen combustion engines and FCEVs, Toyota's water engine stands out as an eco-friendly marvel. Storing water is effortlessly simple and inexpensive, in stark contrast to hydrogen, which demands heavily armoured, rigorously monitored tanks, along with significant financial investment. The pure form of hydrogen is challenging to contain, prone to escaping if there are any irregularities with the tank, necessitating constant monitoring and maintenance. Meanwhile, a water-powered vehicle could essentially use any plastic container as its fuel tank. Additionally, storing hydrogen outside of a vehicle involves its own set of challenges, requiring specific temperature conditions and sturdy, leak-proof tanks. Distilled water, in contrast, is readily available in most supermarkets and can even be produced at home using basic chemistry. The costliness of producing and storing hydrogen has impeded its widespread adoption, ultimately driving up consumer prices and undermining its viability as a long-term fuel alternative.
So you could literally refill your car's tank with water from your kitchen sink. No more $100 fill-ups at the gas station, no more hunting for EV charging stations or waiting hours for your car to charge. Just pour in some distilled water available at any grocery store, and for a couple of dollars, drive for hundreds of miles. Well, unlike EVs, which require destructive mining for battery minerals, and water is the most abundant source on the planet. So, Patriots, what we're witnessing goes far beyond partisan politics. This is about powerful forces that have controlled our energy system for over a century now, facing an existential threat. From Secretary Wright's plans for American energy dominance to revolutionary nuclear technology, to the long-suppressed reality of water-powered vehicles, the energy landscape is about to undergo a seismic shift that will benefit everyday Americans while threatening the global elites. So ask yourself, why did Stanley Meyer die mysteriously just as his water-powered car was gaining attention? Why is Toyota developing this technology now, after decades of suppression? Why isn't this front-page news on every newspaper in America? Well, the answer is simple. Control. Those who control energy control everything. Your mobility, your heating and cooling, your ability to work and travel, all dependent on their system. A world where cars run on water, homes are powered by small nuclear reactors, and America produces more energy than we can use is a world where they lose control and you gain freedom. This is the energy revolution they don't want you to know about. This is why the mainstream media will never tell you this story. This is why the Next News Network exists, to bring you the truth, no matter who tries to suppress it. And if you like what we're doing here, make sure you hit our merch shop, linked in the description.